Hello and welcome to IGN's Paper Girls Watch Party presented by Amazon Prime Video's Paper Girls. Paper Girls is based on the comic book series by Brian K. Vaughan and Cliff Chiang that follows four young friends whose paper routes are disrupted in the early morning hours after Halloween 1988 when they unknowingly time travel to 2019. While searching for a way home, they'll clash with members of time-jumping factions at war and must learn how to work together to save the world. In celebration of this time-traveling adventure, we're watching the premiere episode right here with the cast of Paper Girls. Joining me today are the Paper Girls themselves. We have Riley Lionele, who plays Erin Tiang.
Hi.
Cameron Jones, who plays Tiffany Culkin. Fina Strassa, who plays KJ Brandman. And we have Sophia Rosinski, who plays Mac Coyle.
Hello there.
So first off, can we have each of you give us a quick description of your characters and who they are when we first meet them?
I play Erin. It's her first day on the paper route. She really wants to have a sense of freedom. So quite naturally, she starts out to be quite awkward because she comes from a very sheltered household. And then when she meets the other three girls, she looks up to them so much and just deeply wants to be friends with them.
Tiff, I like to call her this encyclopedic, curious fireball. She's a natural-born leader, and she's always wanting to learn more and to better herself mentally and physically. And I really love Tiff. She is a little bit lonely because she's an only child and her parents work all the time. So she is longing for friends when we first meet her. And she turns that longing into a love for technology. And I love how she utilizes the technology in the show.
KJ is simmering. She is incredibly emotionally intelligent and is fiercely protective of her friends and of what she believes in. When we first meet her, we can really see that she is trying to find herself and where she belongs. She comes from one of the wealthiest families in town and often feels like she's being forced into this box that she doesn't quite fit in. And so the series allows her to come into herself a lot more, and hopefully audiences will see that her confidence will grow a lot, and she'll be able to find herself.
Mac is a guarded, jagged, brash, outspoken little street tough, and she's come from a very rough home, but she has a heart of gold. She has a lot to work on, and I think when she's introduced to these other girls, she can see that she has a lot to change about her. But these girls are such a beautiful influence on her, and I would just hope that people stick with her long enough to see her art.
So in preparing for the show, did Brian and Cliff, who created the comic books and are also executive producers on the show, did they recommend reading the comics, or did they want you to just explore the character on your own?
All of us read it.
Yeah.
All of us.
Yeah,
We
all of us
during our
really-
audition processes read it.
We really studied the comic book cards so that we can really capture that essence and transfer that onto the show. And all four of us became huge fans of it ourselves.
That's awesome. So you guys get to now play these characters that you've really researched and looked into. Were there any other
Absolutely.
movies or TV shows like outside of Paper Girls that you kind of researched to get the feel of what the 80s were? Sophia, let's start with you.
Specifically for Mac, I did draw some inspiration from the Breakfast Club. When I was reading the audition, my sister was going through the sides with me, and she said, "Hey, this actually reminds me of the Breakfast Club." So we went and we watched that several times, and I was inspired by John Bender, played by Judd Nelson. So I guess that would be sort of the main one for me as far as 1980s movies.
Similar to Sophia, I've grown up watching a lot of movies from the 80s. I've watched The Goonies when I was little, and Stand By Me and E.T. So those definitely came in handy when getting to know that coming of age feeling that really translates in the show.
Is there any piece of 80s pop culture that fascinated you or that you came across for the first time and you were like, whoa, this was something people were into back then?
I don't know. I think, something that surprised me at first was Cameron, one of her costume pieces is double socks. So like one pair of socks over another pair of socks. And I don't know, my feet get very claustrophobic. And I feel like that seems a bit impractical. And so I was surprised by that for sure.
I think I was always aware that like the 80s wasn't a great time for a lot of people. I know our writers and showrunner Chris, Cliff, and Brian like to call it more of an FU to the 80s rather than like a love letter. So I think it's a really authentic portrayal of like the grittier and dark side of the 80s rather than like that neon big hair take on me workout video that you're used to seeing on movies and television.
Tell us why Paper Girls isn't your typical comic book show.
Well, so for sci-fi fans, the show will definitely satisfy fans in that respect. We have those larger-than-life action sequences, and it's a ton of visual effects and all these cool techie stuff. But the heart of the show is really in the girls and their relationships with each other. So while it does fit into the sci-fi genre, you still really get to explore that drama and the comedy side of things, and we pull at your heartstrings a little bit, and the character development is great, and the girls are really fun to watch and fall in love with.
I'll start by saying these guys are in it, and you're gonna love them. The minute that they step on screen, you're gonna be entranced. I certainly was. So there's one thing already right there. Thank you. Number two, as Fina was saying a second ago, really, if you like sci-fi, we have amazing special effects. If you like coming-of-age stories, you're gonna love these guys. If you like timey-wimey stuff, there's plenty of that. I would say just those elements alone, just the fact that the series is so layered, it has so many different components that you can like. If you don't like this one, then you'll like that one. You see what I mean? Also, a thing about the time travel is that not only is it time travel, but it's a time war. So that just adds a whole nother level of urgency and craziness to it.
Well, I think the stage is definitely set. We are almost ready to jump into our watch party. But first, here is the trailer for Amazon Prime Video's Paper Girls.
Hey! What's your name? Aaron? Tiff. So you're Mac, right?
So?
So you're the first paper boy around here who wasn't
A boy? You must be the Brandman kid.
KJ.
My dad says you people own everything.
You people? She's new. All right, Big Mac. Let's go.
I'm not gonna, bite you or something.
What is that? Why does the sky look like that?
Move, move, move! Let's get out of here!
Hey! Who's there? What are you doing in my house?
What are you doing in my house?
I live here.
No, I live here.
That's her.
Holy shit. This is a psychotic break. 12-year-old version of yourself broke into your house with her punk friends?
If that really is future you, maybe she can call someone.
Who's she gonna call?
Time travel 911?
Do you want to call 911?
Oh, good lord, there are future robots.
We need help. I might know someone.
You girls traveled out of your time. That's a capital offense. You're in targets now.
It's nice knowing you, I guess.
We can't just give up.
You don't know who you're about to become.
Future me will know how to get us home.
You have no idea what's at stake here.
Yeah, it's the fate of humanity. I get it.
This, right here, is the end of the universe.
We're paper girls, so we stick together.
Well, future you is not all that bad. She did give you that rad shirt, which says dumb on it.
What an exciting look at the whole season. I can't wait for us to watch the first episode, but I still have a few more questions just before we get into that. All right, so let's start with Sophia. Can you give us a crash course on how time travel works in the show? No pressure, you know.
All right. I will try to formulate something in my brain that makes sense coming out of my face. So, I'll explain an element of the show that involves the time travel. I don't want to give anything away about the actual ways that the time travel happens, but I will say we have two groups that the girls are kind of caught in the crossfire between. We have the old watch, they're from the far future, and basically they're saying you shouldn't time travel, you shouldn't go and change things in the past because you're messing things up. And then you have the rebels, who are sort of the teenagers of the way future, and they're saying, no, you're wrong. You should go back and you should change things and you should make things better for people. You should stop wars from happening. Basically, they're at odds with each other. Neither one are willing to compromise. So that's how wars happen. So these girls are caught in the middle of it.
A great analogy, metaphor that our show uses is a mixtape.
Yes.
We say that, the universe is a mixtape, and you can rewind and you can record over it as many times as you want, except each time you play it over again after you rewind it and recorded over it, the quality lessens and worsens over time, and then eventually, oh no, it breaks, and you've killed everybody in the universe. If that makes sense. So that's basically time travel for you.
Riley, what are you most excited for fans to see in the first season of Paper Girls?
I think generally just everything. I think it's really a show that I feel like the world needs right now. It's so unique and it touches on topics that aren't really explored much yet. But specifically, episode 5. I think we can all agree that episode 5 is like our favorite, and that's where you get to really see more of the characters, and it's very clear what their arc is and how much they're developing. And I think also that was just really fun to film and really fun to watch. So.
Just like Riley, I really want them to see everything because I think it's just cool that the show's coming out, right? But if I had to be a little less vague, I'd probably say the action scenes in the girls' relationships with each other. And if I had to be specific, episode 1.
I love it.
I really liked 5, like Riley. And then 6 was just so much fun to film.
Final question before we get into the episode. What was important to set up about your characters in this first episode?
Well, the first episode is a incredibly action-packed, kind of move the whole time. And so we definitely needed to make sure that you immediately empathize with them. They are these girls who were not expecting to be time traveling at 4 a.m, the morning after Halloween. And so we each needed to establish our characters and work off of the comic books to help create the girls that are now on screen. And hopefully we accomplished our goal and the audience is immediately along for the ride with them. I think that all these girls have done a great job with that. Hopefully everybody else feels the same.
Yes. Thank you, Vina.
Yeah,
Thank you.
rocked it. All of you guys.
No, you guys.
Ooh, amazing.
No, you guys.
I changed my answer. Well, the answer when you asked about my favorite part, I'm excited for everyone to see them. Yeah.
All right, so it sounds like we are ready and about to hit play on episode 1. Stick around though, because these paper girls have been generous enough to hang around and talk about everything we may have missed and tease what's coming in the future. Remember, Paper Girls is streaming right now on Amazon Prime Video. And without further ado, let's check out the first episode.
Hey!
Bye! Enjoy it!
Bye.
Go watch the rest after.
Okay, wow, what a cliffhanger to end it on. Good thing this episode and a few after that are available to catch on Amazon Prime Video right now. So let's go down the line. What was your favorite moment to film in episode 1?
Man, okay. Riley, I'm sorry, but my favorite scene is when you get shot. And it's not, I mean, I take no joy in you getting hurt. It was just enjoyable to film. Let me explain myself before you make any judgments. We had 7 minutes to film the part with the blood. Because, we're child actors and we can only work for a certain amount of hours, and we had 7 minutes left in our day. So we had to get the blood pack on Riley super quickly, and they had to feed the blood through this tube and get the whole tank ready. And we did it in one take where, I ran to her and put my hands on her stomach, and it was just so chaotic, and the energy was so great, and fighting with Sophia, swatting at each other, was enjoyable. And yeah, that was a fun scene to film.
All right, Sophia, what was your favorite scene to film?
I'm gonna say probably the scenes where we're riding the bikes throughout the streets. I really enjoyed that. That was the first time I'd never seen lightning bugs before, fireflies, and it was just a really magical setting, and it was very peaceful and calm and serene and just beautiful. And so I would probably say from the first episode, just any of those bike scenes, and if not the bike scenes, then maybe the scenes where we're in the kitchen hiding in Mac's house, and just the girls sort of conversing in this bizarre, confusing situation.
I am tied between the one in the car, because I just really loved the car scenes because it was all chaotic and it was really a bonding experience because a lot of stuff happened in the car and there were a lot of funny moments and we were swerving and I wasn't even allowed to touch the pedals. It was just a really great time. And then the other one that I'm tied between is when we were in the woods. There was cake explosions everywhere because they had to there were gunshots, so the dirt was flying everywhere, and it was like cake and cereal, and we were running, and I just ran in a separate direction from them, which I just thought was so funny.
Yeah, the scene in the woods was also that took like a week to film, 2-3 days.
Yeah,
it was a lot of fun. It was the conditions though. We were sweating and we were so hot. And something our director Georgie Banks Davis had us do before every take was scream at the top of our lungs. She was just just let it all out, let it all out.
It was very freeing.
It was. Yeah. I think that was just so much fun. And when Erin is by the tree trunk, where she's touching the bugs, I was suffering so badly for those 3 days because I have incredibly bad allergies. I was dying and I was so ready to go home. I was so hot. I was itchy everywhere. But yeah, those scenes definitely we really felt in it.
What personal challenges will your characters face this season?
I think all the girls are dealing with silent battles, and they all choose to deal with it in very different ways. For my character in specific, Erin, I feel like for her, she's sort of forced to grow up quite fast, but is also still very much a child. She tends to keep how she's feeling more to herself, so I think it's good representation for people who have a lot going on and really aren't able to express it. So I feel like throughout the season there's a huge contrast to how she is in the beginning, where she's more reserved and more timid, and then towards the end where she's just tatted. So I also think at first your perception of her might be she's a wimp, or she's kind of a dork. She's definitely not the most physical out of all of them. She doesn't do as much action, but I think the stuff that she goes through takes a lot of courage, and I hope that people admire that about her, admire that about all the characters, because all of them are so strong in dealing with it.
Like Riley said, all of the characters have their silent struggles. And for Tiff, I would say she's very anxious most of the time, and she does stress out often because she likes to have control of things, and when she doesn't, she becomes anxious and stressed. But Tiff is also very lonely. Like, her parents work all the time. She's an only child. So I feel like she's battling that need for companionship and that need for friends. I would say she handles it well, but she always tries to handle it by taking control, because when she's in control, she's secure. And when she's not, she feels like she's free falling into a black hole.
All right, yeah, and Fina?
As I had said before, KJ is really trying to find herself and who she is. And through the series, she, makes a discovery about her sexuality and has to learn really what that means for her, being a child who has grown up in the 80s around a culture that has told her whole life that that is not okay. And so it really is just this journey of accepting herself and accepting where she fits in the world.
And Sophia, what is Mac gonna go through?
Well, as you could probably see in episode 1, and you'll see more of later throughout the series, Mac has a lot of things that she really needs to work on, and I think she's starting to realize that. She's grown up in a pretty difficult household. She's had it pretty hard all throughout her life, and she's kind of adopted. She's created a shell for herself to suit the environment that she's grown up in, because it's rough, so she can't let things affect her, and so she's built up this really hard shell. But thanks to the girls, she's growing and she's understanding that she can actually be herself, and she doesn't have to be so pugilistic all the time.
What is the coolest part about being on a show based on a comic book series?
I would say the fact that we got to go to Comic-Con was really cool, because since it was based on a comic, we did our panel, which was amazing, by the way. They all did amazing, and it was so fun. And there were people there. A lot of people there. and it was really cool. And then when we weren't working and doing all the press stuff, we got to walk the floor of the con, and I bought the Paper Girls pencils with our faces on them, and it's really cool.
It was also really cool to work with Brian and Cliff, who are and Matt Wilson, who are the original creators of the comic book. So it was nice to really influence what they had already created and build more on that world.
This show is all about past consequences affecting the future. If this was a time capsule, what message would you like to send your future selves?
Get a Dalmatian. They're fun dogs, and I'd like one, so get it. Yeah.
I think I would tell my future self, now that I think about it more, I would probably say to be kind to yourself.
I would say be happy and know it's all gonna work itself out. And then I would say you better have a big library and go travel, go live your life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say something along the lines of, if time travel does exist, come back to this very moment and give me advice now to give you advice, because I can't think of anything.
Oh,
so
that's very clever.
Yeah. It didn't work.
Lastly, if you could describe the season in one word, what would it be?
Unpredictable.
Unforgettable.
Electrifying.
Unforgettable, unpredictable, and electrifying.
So good.
That's a great word.
I get it.
Her word was and. Her word was and.
Thank you so much to Riley, Cameron, Fina, and Sophia for joining us to talk about episode 1 of Paper Girls. Remember, you can catch all the action on Amazon Prime Video right now. And for everything watch parties and more, make sure to stay tuned to IGN. Bye.